Alright, third video in the build log. I'm going to start off with getting this thing into a proper case. So right here is the motherboard and whatnot for my little computer. This is a Acer computer, or what's left of it. And let's see, what's the proper, there it is. It's an Acer R3131T. It's a little simple 2-in-1 laptop that is basically just one of those things that you have the ability to fully flip over and convert into a laptop and whatnot. For $250, it's okay, but it only has 32 gigs of storage. So for my day-to-day uses, this thing is a pile of crap. But for what I need for this thing to do, it'll do the job. If I ever get a chance, I'm going to buy myself a proper laptop that has a hard drive inside it and has the ability to run Windows 7. Or I might just do a dual boot system to where I just have one partition, a main partition for 7, and just have like a 30 gig, 40 gig partition for Windows 10, because 10 sucks butt. But the only reason why I'm using Windows 10 is because for some reason or another 7 doesn't want to work right. So what I gotta do is I gotta basically build a little custom box for this thing to protect it and whatnot, make life easier on me. So here's a simple platform for the main for the bottom of it. It'll more or less be like this. I just gotta elongate it slightly to make it to where the wireless card will be covered. And of course, here's the actual cables to get the wireless adapter to work. Right here is the on-off. Right here is the power button, volume up and down, and the little power plug to get this thing power goes right here. This thing used to have a battery, but for some reason or another, this thing doesn't want to register their battery anymore, so I'm just going to make this thing just run off the wall power. So, I'm just going to come back when I get this thing put together. Oh yeah, this thing is a fanless model, but I'm going to eventually add a little cooler fan to help keep this thing cool, because even though this thing will be covered, even though this thing's fanless, once I cover this thing up in foam board, and I try to do heavy stuff like just light gaming and whatnot, this thing will overheat incredibly quick. But for simple stuff like web browsing, printing out paprika files like the Draken 3 and whatnot that I'm working on, this thing will do the trick. So I'll come back when I get this thing put together. Alright, so here's video 3 of my build log. I'm going to start off by putting this thing, not putting this thing, but building a little case for this thing so I can easily carry it around instead of having a bunch of wires just all over the place and whatnot. This is what's left of an Acer R31T. Hold on, it's an R3131T. Yeah, there we go. It's a little $250 Acer 2-in-1. Basically, it's one of those little convertible laptops that can be converted down into a full laptop. For $250, it's okay, but it doesn't have a hard drive, and it sucks. If it had an actual hard drive, like a 500 gig hard drive, I most likely wouldn't have taken it apart. But also, I got mad at it and threw it on the ground, and the LCD panel's busted. So I'm just gonna convert it. So I'm just gonna put this thing together in a whole new case and use it for printing purposes, because I have to use this to print out the parts I need to build the Draken 3 I'm working on, or Draken 3 or whatever you call it. So I'll come back when I get this thing put together. Alright, I thought I'd pop by and actually show what the inside of this thing's going to look like before I build the sides and close this thing up. So basically, here's the main board. I have little cutouts so I can hook up USB stuff, headphones. I don't think I'll need the Ethernet switch, but but this is pretty much good to go. HDMI, since I'm going to be hooking this thing up directly to a TV. Here's the RAM, of course. Normally right here, this is where the keyboard will go. Right here would be the battery. Right here will be the trackpad. Right here will be the internal speakers. I tried looking for the internal speakers, but I can't find them. But then again, this thing's going to be hooked up to a TV, so why even bother? CMOS battery, wireless card, power, on off, volume up and down, simple little ribbon cable, power plug here. here's a little place for a standard SD card. I have a few of those. I'll just probably end up putting in the 8 gig stick so I can expand the storage slightly. And of course, right here is the CPU, GPU, and here's the heat sink and whatnot. And I'm going to make it to where I can actually put a cooler fan, like a laptop cooler fan, place it like right here, or place it right here. Actually, I'm probably going to place it like right here since this is the area that heats up the most. And then I'll find some little 5 volt thing I can tap off of, so I can run the fan internally. I'll probably just have a little on and off switch on the little fan so I can control it from going half speed or full speed when I'm using it. But like I said, for right now, this thing's just going to be used for printing out paprika files. I don't know how to properly pronounce the program, but yeah. So I'm just going to cover this thing up and show you what it looks like when it's actually hooked up to the TV. Alright, before I close this thing up, I want to show what it looks like complete. So here are the 2 Wi-Fi antennas, and these cables are incredibly long, so I just duct taped them and shortened them up and duct taped them to the to right here. Hopefully there won't be that much interference, but I think it's going to be a pretty weak Wi-Fi signal, but it should be just enough to browse general stuff like YouTube and whatnot. Here's the actual motherboard again, all the other stuff. I'm going to have to cut out some more holes to make these things a little bit more bigger. It's kind of ugly here, but it gets the job done. And of course I have these 2 little pieces here over both heat spreaders. That way, so when this thing heats up, it'll just more or less won't get stuck inside the actual box and heat everything up and cause the thing to basically shut off. But more or less, it's a pretty freaking thin little computer. It's a little bigger than I like, but it's pretty freaking thin. What I'm going to do is that after I'm building my Draken, once I get done with that, I'm probably just going to take some silver duct tape, and I'm just going to wrap this thing in silver duct tape and make it look a little bit more nicer. And that's about it. I mean, it's a cheap little computer case. It will get the job done. It just looks a little ugly with the foam board, but it's easy. It's one of the easier ways for me to modify something to make it more useful again. So I'll come back when this thing's hooked up to my TV. Alright, so here's the computer itself. As you can tell, I have it turned on. I have it sitting on a speaker. As you can tell, I have both. As you can tell, these are where the little heat diffusers are. Of course, right here is the main CPU, and right here is the main heat spreader. And of course, in the back, I have all the little connections, mouse, printer, and HDMI port. I also have the Ethernet right there. Audio jacks right here. But again, this thing's hooked up to an HD TV, so I don't need it. Right now. And as you can tell, there's the TV itself, and of course, I have volume control right here, right here for up and down, and whatnot. But like I said, I only really had this thing for working on my Draken 3 or Draken 3. Like I said, I do not know how to properly pronounce it. But yeah, when I want to start working on something or get files prepared, I just sit on the couch, take my Apple mouse, open up the file I need, give the computer a couple seconds. I think I may update the graphics driver because it is a little sluggish. This is actually my mother's TV. The reason why I'm not doing this through wireless is because I don't trust wireless printing for something like this. So let me see, can I do this in a way to where I can properly show how I set stuff up? Like to an extent, case so. Alright, so I just need the internal structure right here again. This thing's running off Intel integrated graphics, so it's going to be incredibly slow. The frame rate wise and whatnot is going to be freaking pathetic. And of course, for something as simple as this, I really don't need a high-end setup just to print simple stuff out like this. Basically, all I did is I just upscaled the original file he released. Again, I do not know how to pronounce your name properly, so I'm not even going to try. But I just upscale it, and then I just cut out the pieces after that to fit what I need them to do. Normally I'll do this on my main rig due to it having a better CPU and better GPU, but for something as simple as this, I can just do this right here, right now, and show you generally what I do. And it's printing. So, like I said, simple, ugly computer. Very, very cheap and very slow, but it does the job for what I need. And with that, I'm going to let this print off, and then I'm going to rebuild it. I'm going to rebuild this internal structure system and whatnot, and come back when I get that set up. It's currently 9:03, so I spent 4 hours trying to build, around 4 hours building this thing. Good grief. Okay, so let's see how long it takes for me to get this complete. Alright, so I'm still in the process of building a low reinforcement part in, or not part in, but I'm still in the process of building it. But I'm also taking little breaks to check for updates for this thing, since the thing hasn't been turned on in like over 2 months. Make sure all the drivers are up to date, blah blah blah, because I am a tech nerd and I want to make sure all the computers I have, including the ones I hate, are properly up to date for whenever I turn them on, for God forbid a virus hits them, or I have some BS driver problems, or something doesn't want to run right. I want to make sure everything's in working order. So I'm in the process of installing drivers for the Intel setup and whatnot. And this computer registers as an Intel compute stick. Last I checked, this was a laptop, not a compute stick. I don't know why it thinks it's a compute stick, but whatever. Though I have been noticing a slight bit of lagginess and whatnot with the computer, so I'm hoping these updates will fix that. But who knows? Alright, here is a low reinforcement strut I was talking about. It's just simply just standard cardstock that's reinforced with foam board. And some hot glue sticks, some more extra reinforcement. Hot glue everywhere to help keep the edges and whatnot more or less taut. This is going to be pretty freaking strong. I mean, it is going to flex, but not like it used to. And this is going to be basically the mounting system for the speaker, and also double as an actual support system inside the actual aircraft. So I'm going to make sure this thing's nice and sturdy before I build the aircraft and whatnot. Alright, so technically I got the speaker box built. This is how it goes together, but I haven't tested it yet. That's because I'm waiting for the battery pack that I'm going to use to power this thing to charge up a little bit. So for the time being, I'm doing doing some maintenance on my puffer tank. He currently has ick, but he is, amazingly enough, still alive. It's not as bad as it was, because about 5 days ago, he was just covered in white dots. He's still covered in white dots, but not like it used to be. So I'm hoping this Saturday, if I'm not too out of it due to me getting my 4 wisdom teeth knocked out, I'm hoping Saturday to get some meds for him. I'll also be getting a puffer in tomorrow, but I'll have to be able, I'll probably be picking him up on Saturday too. Again, if I feel up to it, because like I said, I'm having both my wisdom teeth knocked out, so who knows? I might get it Friday if I feel up to it after the surgery. Who knows? But as you can tell, my puffer is still very active. He's up and down watching me constantly. He almost jumped out again. You need to quit doing that, my little puff. But as you can tell, he's covered in it and whatnot. And I also got me a sick betta. This guy has fungus. Well, it's not as much as you really can't tell, but actually you can see right there at the very top right here. He has fungus in his skin, and he has some discolorization, so something's wrong in my tank. I pulled him from the tank he was in. I have meds in this little itty container. I also have an air stone for aeration and water agitation. I'm hoping he's going to make a full recovery, but I don't think he will, because I've gone down the road before with fish, and it's quite hard to cure them. And wow, that fungus is growing really fast. I just saw it sprout while I'm recording the video. Gosh. Yeah, he's not gonna make it. So I'm gonna let the thing charge up for a little while longer. I'm gonna refill this tank up and put some more meds in this tank. Probably put a little bit more than I should to help combat the fungus. Like I said, I don't think he's gonna make it, but I'm not gonna do anything about I'm not going to record anything about my fish after this, because I just want to show that what's going on slightly when I'm building something like this. That even though I'm dedicating my time to building something, I am still taking priority on my fish when they need it. Alright, so it's about 5:30 p.m. my time. After this recording, it's actually hold on, let's see, it's just 5:27. And I finally managed to finish up the actual internal superstructure for the speaker system. Basically, this whole area is just reinforced, and I just have a whole separate system right here to hold the 2 speakers. Of course, here's the wiring and whatnot. I mean, it's pretty basic. And of course, here's my temporary amplifier to just show how this thing, what this thing sounds like. As you can tell, it does get pretty freaking loud. And basically, what's going to happen is that once I actually start building the actual aircraft body itself, basically it goes in right here, right in the middle, basically right behind the cockpit. Now, of course, I don't have it done on this because it is just a temporary setup to figure out how exactly it's going to go together. But what I'm going to do is that the engine ports right here are going to be cut out. That way, so when I play music, the sound waves and whatnot will have a place to shoot out from. So when I crank this thing all the way up, it actually gets loud. But for the most part, that's pretty much it for this video. I mean, most of my time was taken up on building the computer. I'm building a new computer case for that little laptop of mine. And this thing right here pretty much served its purpose. So let me explain what's going to happen, I think. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to transfer these these video files to my computer and let them render overnight. Technically, it's going to take about like 30 minutes or so for my computer to render out the video, but I'm getting pretty freaking sleepy. So most likely what's going to happen is that once I start the render process, I'm just going to go to bed. So when this video is actually published, it'll be like 2, 3, 4 a.m. the next day my time. So it'll be pretty early in the morning. But what I want to do tomorrow is I'm going to more or less just rebuild this whole section right here again. And I'm actually going to, use the actual file, use the proper textures and whatnot. The one thing that's going to make this build process a lot more longer than it originally did is because as I build this thing, I have to put in wooden popsicle sticks and whatnot for a superstructure, because I'm not going to build this thing and just leave it all flimsy like this. I'm going to make this thing robust, because I'll be carrying this thing around to my local anime conventions and whatnot, and I want this thing to be able to more or less survive the day. And that's one of the reasons why I put these wooden internal superstructures inside these things as I build them. Because if I didn't take the time to do the superstructure, it'll probably only take like 4 days to build this thing, when it's going to take a good week or so, if not longer, to actually build this thing, because it takes twice as long to build this thing and then also build in a superstructure as I go along. But yeah, that's pretty much it. But as you can tell, I got the little parts printed out, and again, I am very impressed with the textures on these files. The texture files are absolutely incredible, especially considering they're handmade. So, like I said, out of all the aircraft that I've built from across, well, granted, this is the second one. This one's going to be one of my more favorite ones, especially considering the textures. The textures are superb. So with that, I'm going to end this video. And if anyone's wondering about my betta fish, I don't know I wasn't going to say anything extra past that, but he was swimming around, but he's not in good shape. There's really nothing I can do. I don't got clove oil or anything like that, so I just have him in here. Hopefully he'll make it, but he's at that point of most likely not. I mean, he's a beautiful elephant ear betta. That's the main reason why I picked him up, is because he's an absolute beautiful fish. But I got meds in the tank, and hopefully he's going to make it. It does seem to subside a little bit, so that's a good thing.